I'm in joy and gratitude. I finally recognize the root of my problem. Now I can effectively integrate who I am, pure truth and love, into my physical body. Dear Guy, I'm in joy and gratitude, and therefore I'm sharing this energy with you in France because both of you played the key supporting role for me to finally be able to achieve the integration of who I am into my physical body. Because there are a lot of interesting details to share, I decided to make a video, and in this way I can share this energy of joy and gratitude with more individuals. Guy, you have recently sent me an email with 4 attachments. In the résumé du RVA de la Diécitude, you mentioned that all the didactic material, except the Pentatych, is translated in English. Please send me all the materials you have available in English. In return, I'm sending you attachments of the Pentatych translated into English and Spanish. Of course, I have seen the Pentatych before in Ghis en 10 étapes. Further, I've read the booklet on society years ago. On page 70 and 71, you describe the 3 steps of the transformation of Personocratia. The transformation of Personocratia can be distinguished from other procedures by 2 distinct qualities. It is radical and integral. Radical. Personocratia goes to the root of the original lie, the separation between creatrix and creature. She stops feeding her fears, which eventually stop. The wall of death weakens and starts to crumble. The contact with the soul gradually strengthens until the union of body and soul is reached. At that moment, spirit starts to permeate matter. The golden invasion of true love has begun. This is different from other attempts at transformation, which propose an external change instead of an internal revolution of consciousness. The only true transformation takes place from the inside to the outside, from spirit towards matter. Integral. Personocratia goes to the end of this transformation, further than spirituality, where there is no longer any separation, ego, fear, or death. She transcends the limits of the vital and mental bodies to reach eidesic supramental consciousness. Pure truth exerts its absolute power directly onto the physical body. These 2 qualities differ from other attempts at transformation that remain conditional, incomplete, and temporal. The latter demands an external creator or uses advanced technology or various avoidance methods. A person leaves her body, reaches nirvana, and then returns to an unchanged body once the experience is over. Reaching eidesity does not take place by leaving matter or modifying it. The path consists of bringing spirit into the body. Only the spiritualization of matter can manifest the eidesic being. The transformation of Personocratia takes place in 3 steps. 1. Vision. I discover who I am, eidesa, unlimited creatrix. Until today, I had remained ignorant and unconscious of my true identity. I thought I was a poor creature, separated from her creator. I was always afraid of what might happen to me, of what my creator would force me to go through. One day, the truth flashes like lightning and I am able to see the illusion in which I am living. 2. Decision. I decide to surrender to my soul and to dedicate my whole life to the manifestation of idessa in matter. I dive into the adventure of consciousness. I dissolve any egotistical attachments to old beliefs, desires, friends, family, and country. My ego no longer rules over my life. Stop. I transfer the power from external authorities to my internal, true authority. 180-degree turn. I obey my soul, but the ego does not let go of its old control so easily. It is full of tricks and goes as far as disguising itself into an angel, ascended master, alien, or any other member of the old spiritual hierarchy. I watch its subterfuges, but it still manages to fool me now and then, and to make me doubt. Yet, my transformation of consciousness anchors itself more and more. 3. Action. I become who I am in my behavior. With discipline and vigilance, I remain on course towards idessity. Under my soul's guidance, I transform my thoughts, words, and daily actions. Each new experience renews my courage and determination and reinforces my decision and new conduct. Getting detached from the old habits of the world of illusion is demanding. My ego weeps, and my soul rejoices. Each new ordeal is an evolutionary gift that I learn to welcome. What I lose on the material side, I gain 100-fold internally. Fears melt away, one after the other, and omnipotence starts to manifest. The unification of body and soul increases, and I gradually get out of hell on earth. I start to experience the true peace and joy of paradise on earth. Slowly but surely, I manifest the eidessic being internally. I am transformed. I received this booklet from you, Ghis, in 2014, just after I got out of jail. You personally signed it for me, dear Tatiana. Yes, we can, and we will. Heart, Ghis. I read this booklet back in 2014, and as I always do with important reading, I underlined in pencil. I later read it again and underlined in pen. The other day, I opened this booklet to the last page and noticed that I signed it with my infinite love signature. However, I dated it the 30th of September 2004. As I looked at it more closely, I realized the book did not exist till 2013. I came to the conclusion that I subconsciously made the decision to start my conscious transformation in 2004. I stopped paying income tax in 2003, but I probably did not consciously understand my action of saying no to the government of Canada till 2004, after purchasing and reading The Medical Mafia and What the Hell Am I Doing Here Anyway? That same day, I went to work on the Sacha Inchi plants. I will first describe my daily life on the farm with some pictures to partially explain my transformation journey. In 2018, I accidentally discovered one Sacha Inchi plant here on the farm, and then circumstances that I clearly created, as the creatrix that I am, led me to learn that this plant produces a nut, which is described as miraculous in its healing properties. Here is a description. Sacha Inchi. The Sacha Inchi seed is native to the Peruvian Amazon. It is also recognized with the name of Mani del Monte or Mani del Inca, Inca nut. The oils obtained from Sacha Inchi are essential for human health. Currently, most of these oils are extracted from fish by refining with chemical solvents. Sacha Inchi oil is extra virgin because it is cold pressed. In addition, fish oil, as it does not have natural preservatives, requires the addition of such compounds artificially. Sacha Inchi contains natural antioxidants, which are preservatives, vitamin A, vitamin E, and phytosterols. Sacha Inchi oil is considered superior to palm, sunflower, olive, corn, peanut, and canola oils. Sacha Inchi almond seed contains 54% oil and 33% protein. In addition, Sacha Inchi oil contains a high content of unsaturated fatty acids. Omega-3, 48%, omega-6, 36%, and omega-9, 8%. Therefore, it is considered a low cholesterol oil. The Sacha Inchi seed, when compared to other oil seeds worldwide, turn out to be richer in HDL-type fats, which is what the body needs for proper functioning. Omega-3, 48% in Sacha Inchi. Among the main benefits provided by Sacha Inchi seeds, we find it is a natural antioxidant. It strengthens the immune system, regulates blood pressure, improves neurocognitive faculties and inflammatory conditions. It reduces hormonal problems and delays the aging process. It has protective effects against the development of certain types of cancer, and it controls and reduces cholesterol levels. I decided to sacrifice 2 acres of coffee plants, that's about 10,000 plants, to plant Sacha Inchi. In this short video, Hector is bringing up the coffee stumps.
Hola, here is Hector carrying one of the piles from down below of the coffee stumps onto here, where we pick it up, where Lee picks it up with the truck. This has just been a huge job, and it's nowhere near over.
In this picture, one can see the piles of coffee stumps, which are then loaded into the truck and brought up near the house. I organize and create various piles. Here is one of the 4 piles of coffee stumps. This one is at the entrance of the house, besides one of the other 4 piles of pine tree pieces left behind after 2 acres of pine trees were cut down, just before the property was purchased. This picture was taken back in 2007, when the driveway was first created, before the start of the house construction. This is a picture of the front of the original farmhouse and the coffee drying on plastic on the ground. This is my friend Nicole in the hammock when the 2 Nicoles came to visit us in January of 2020. This is a recent picture where one can see the Sacha Inchi plant growing in the rose bush. I sorted the Sacha seeds on that porch, and one clearly fell over into the rose bush. And there it is. One can also see the ground cover, which is also called Mani. It is a beautiful ground cover, which you can see here at the back and side of the house. Before going further with the Sacha Inchi story, I will go back in time to describe some key events during my transitional years. Here's a picture of the gorgeous, huge house I had constructed when my ego was at its greatest black sheep consciousness level. My soul allowed the completion of this construction in early 2011. We lived there for about 6 months, and then Lee and I were arrested in December of 2011. This is a screenshot of the house taken from Google Maps. Once both of us were out of jail in mid-2015, we lived in Costa Rica for 14 months while trying to sell the property, which was built for our retirement years. This is an aerial view of the main house in the back and the duplex in the front, which was supposed to be one for Luba's and one for Greg's future families. Please make a note of the land slope in back of the houses. This is another aerial view of the property. This is the pool of the main house, and here is the pool of the duplex. Once again, note the huge ego creations. When we were in jail and not able to pay for property maintenance, almost all the furniture in all 3 houses was stolen. Interestingly, 1 queen-size bed, 1 table with chairs, 1 fridge, 1 stove, few kitchen utensils, and 2 weather-damaged lawn chairs were left behind. With this minimality, we were able to live at the property for 14 months. I will also add that the Canadian government confiscated the Ottawa House, the dental office building, as well as the dental practice. I was bankrupt, but they were unable to confiscate the Costa Rican property because it was in an offshore jurisdiction. I was left with just enough to keep going forward. The perfect soul creation. I know it will be hard to believe, but living with this gorgeous view in this luxury property for 14 months was not easy. The heat in Costa Rica is unbearable. Fortunately, we also had a fan right over the bed, and the airflow allowed us to sleep. Finally, after 13 months of waiting and lowering the asking price of the property to 50% of its value, we received an offer. The buyers had a month to verify everything before the final closing date. Here are some pictures of what happened 2 weeks before the closing date. My soul created this landslide. Not only did we have to pay to clean up the mess, but the buyers asked for a further price reduction of $20,000. Our egos were very upset, but I knew we had to move on. From Costa Rica, we left for Ecuador. We lived there for 7 months, and within that time we purchased another mountain slope property. We were still in sheep consciousness, as hinted by this picture at the entrance of the property. There was no road to the property, and therefore we paid to make the road and bring electricity to the property. This is a view of the property from above and the city of Ibarra below. This is the view of the property from Ibarra, and this is the view of the lake from the property. Because of visa requirements, we decided to move to Colombia for 3 months. However, once in Colombia, I found this waterfall coffee farm property and instantaneously knew that my soul guided me to this place. We did not return to live in Ecuador. We did go back to Ecuador to pick up some furniture we left behind. And this is a picture of the border between Ecuador and Colombia, where I was arrested and went into a Colombian jail for 4 days. By that time, I had evolved in consciousness enough, and therefore was not deported to Canada and did not go back to a Canadian jail for another 5 years. Now, back to Colombia and the continued Sacha Inchi story. In this picture, we're burning the weeds in preparation to planting the first 2 acres of Sacha Inchi in October of 2018, where initially grew the pine trees. 1,500 plants were planted, and they started producing after 1 year. In October 2019 is when I decided to sacrifice the 10,000 coffee plants in order to plant another 1,500 Sacha Inchi plants. Right after COVID started, in March or April of 2020, the Sacha vines started to lose leaves, and then the vines would dry off. Slowly, over a few weeks, the entire plant would dry off and completely die. I had no idea what was causing this die-off. Within 6 to 8 months, all 3,000 plants died. It was as if COVID attacked them. Ha ha. I was told that this variety of Sacha Inchi, ideal for this local climate, was very sensitive, and that the other variety, which grew in a colder climate, was more resistant. The seeds of this other variety were extremely expensive, but I was not ready to give up on this project because we had just invested into an expensive machine to remove the nut shell. Because of COVID, the hostel project collapsed, and by this time, we ran out of money. This is a picture of the side of the old farmhouse, and here is a recent picture. Initially, we roasted the coffee in the old clay oven, but recently we bought this coffee roaster, which makes the coffee roasting much easier. This is a picture of the original farmhouse kitchen, and here are the 2 Nicoles with Benito in the remodeled farmhouse kitchen. In January of 2021, we planted the resistant variety of Sacha Inchi in the original pine tree area, and 99% of the 10,000 coffee plants that I sacrificed to plant the Sacha grew back. Talk about divine perfection. Because of lack of money, both Lee and I were experiencing emotions of lack, and both of us started manifesting dental problems. About 25 years ago, I had full mouth reconstruction done. This means I have crowns on all of my teeth. Before this reconstruction, I experienced severe tension headaches, which became unbearable and lasted non-stop for days. I lived on painkillers just to be able to function. The reconstruction changed the relationship of my maxilla and mandible, as well as the jaw joint. I was cured. No more headaches in the last 25 years. However, I developed a number of root cavities below my crowns. The roots of my upper 2 cuspid teeth decayed to the point that first I had root canals, and then the entire crown portion of the tooth broke off one after the other. I also had similar problems with 2 molar teeth, but they did not break off. Lee has great teeth and hardly had any restorations up until 2020. He also had deep root decay and now needs 3 crowns, for which there's still not enough money. Please note, I am specifying root decay. And now, back again to Sacha Inchi. The new variety grew, but slower than the first variety. I was very conscious of the fear of failure throughout all of this time. This is the Sacha plant growing nicely, and about 2 months ago, I started seeing this. I initially tried to deny it, not face the fact that the same process of death was again manifesting itself. On top of this Sacha problem, in 2020 we also lost virtually all of the banana plants which grow between the coffee plants. Something was attacking the roots, and the entire tree would topple over. In the front is a papaya tree. This is a close-up of the papaya. Behind it, one can see the banana tree leaning over with bananas on it and dead leaves. This tree may topple over before the bananas are mature. To the right is a new banana tree growing, and to the left is a young yucca plant. Here is another yucca between the coffee plants, and one more near the driveway with the waterfall in the back. Here is Hector with an old yucca. Yucca is a root plant, similar to potato, but it literally plants itself and grows everywhere, sometimes to this great size. Here's another picture of a normal-sized yucca with avocado, squash, papaya, pineapple, mango, sacha, and a few wild berries. We finally learned that an antifungus was applied to banana trees because many other around us experienced the same problem. We treated the banana trees a few months ago, and it occurred to me that the sacha could be experiencing the same problem. I initially tried to help the sacha plant by removing the dead vines. It did not dawn on me that the problem is in the roots. A few days ago, I was working on translating the Pentatych into English and Spanish. I then went out to collect the Sacha Inchi. The antifungus was recently applied to the roots of the sacha plants, and as I stood in front of one plant, which had already started to heal, it hit me. The root of the problem. For 2.5 years, I have been creating problems in roots all around me, and finally I understood what my soul was trying to communicate to me. Even though I have been consciously working on connecting with my soul since 2004, and intellectually I understood what I learned in the booklets, fear of lack persisted in me. I'm surrounded with abundance, and yet I was not able to integrate pure love into my body. My teeth, Sacha Inchi, and even the banana plants were all screaming at me. Go to the root of the problem. Surrender totally and completely to your soul. The Sacha plants have already started to grow new vines, even though another application of the antifungus is needed. I know the plants will look like this soon. Here is a final, beautiful picture of the Sacha Inchi. I'm still not sure what the landslide message was all about. We experienced 2 minor landslides in the area. I worked on a number of solutions before the mani vine took hold and multiplied. I'm now continuing to plant the mani and the rest of the wall. A final comment. Over the last 5.5 years at the farm, I've been collecting garbage, mostly all kinds of plastics, but also shoes and various clothes items. All this garbage was buried throughout the farm. As the rain slowly washes away the soil, all that garbage surfaces. I feel this is a representation that I have been cleaning inner garbage within my body. The farm is now clean and super organized. I know my body is extremely healthy. I fill it daily with Sacha Inchi and infinite love. Once again, thank you, Ghis, for the Pentatych. The message finally came through loud and clear. I now continue my evolution of consciousness somewhat more effectively. Infinite love.